Here we go. And I'll post this online so you guys have a recording of it to view back. And you probably have access on your phones that you could watch it during class to catch up. But let me run. And I think I'm going to put the requirements today with the rubric on synergy, so you have that for reference. 4.5 and 12. All right, we're going to start with the rectangle room. So let's look at an example of the gallery here that's already made. When we think of a rectangle, please pay attention if you haven't seen this before and you're lost, because it's a lot to explain and I want to stop explaining it at some point. So we have the rectangle here, which is going to be an equal. These two sides are going to be equal and these two sides are going to be equal, like a rectangle works. And then we're going to make a square room where all the sides are going to be the same size. So we're looking for one room. This is made out of two separate pieces glued together. We're looking for one room, so we're going to make two pieces of paper the exact same size for this room. And we're going to make two pieces of paper the exact same size for this room. One will be a square, so equal sides for both walls, and one will be a rectangle, so different sizes for each wall. So let's start with the rectangle room. And I'm going to make my gallery 4.5 inches tall. So we're looking here, and this is going to be 4.5. Let me get the other piece of paper out of the way. So with the ruler, you must always have two reference points. I saw people trying to get away with only using one reference point, and they had one wall like 4.5 inches, and then by the time it got to the other side, it was 4 inches. And that's going to make your gallery super wonky. So we want to have two reference points. So we're going up 4.5 inches on this side. And if you see here on the ruler, there's a little gap here between where 0 starts and where the edge of the ruler starts. So let's use the line and not the edge of the ruler. And since this paper is always a straight line, which you always have to base your points off of a straight line, we can just line it up with the edge of the paper. So I'm going 4.5 inches here. It's a little hard to see because I didn't close the blinds today, but 4.5 inches at the bottom to the top mark here. And then I'm going to go over here and do 4.5 inches and make a mark here. So now I have 2 points, which now I can connect in a straight line. And as you see here, this page is 12 inches. So I have a 12-inch page right here. I'm going to use the whole page for my rectangle room. That's what I've been doing so far. But you can make your rooms different sizes depending on what you want to do. So I'm going to make my room one of the smaller wall. I'm going to do 4 inches, and I'm going to do the other side 8 inches. So I'll mark this at the 4 inches, again lining it up with the bottom of the paper. And now this is a straight line here. So I can mark it with the top line here. And I'm going to make a dotted line to let me know that's where I'm going to fold the paper. So I'm making a dotted line. And then it needs a door because if this is a gallery, people have to walk through it. So we need to do a little door. I'm going to make my door 1 inch wide. So then I'm going to go up here and use the straight line up here and mark 1 inch and 1 inch. You might want to do it actually above so it doesn't end up in your wall. And then I'm going to come here and do this. So between 3 and 5 is 2 inches. So I'm going to mark a straight line using these two reference points and mark a straight line between 3 and 5. You can use whatever numbers you want. But 1 inch by 2 inches is a good sized room or door for your little imaginary tiny people to walk through. So now I have one wall measured up. This will be what I'm cutting off, and I would do the exact same thing minus the door because we only need one door on another piece of paper. So I did this and I cut them out. These are the same measurements. Oh, I accidentally, here, let me just use the other side. I accidentally did a door on mine. But see how I have now here 2 rooms that are exactly the same. I accidentally did a door on both of these. I didn't mean to. But I have 2 walls that are the exact same. So when I fold them like this and fold the other one like that, it will create a rectangle. And I'll show you that in a second. And then we're going to do a square room. So a square room is the walls are going to be of equal length. But I want them to be the same height. So all of the gallery is like, if it was a building, it would probably be the same height across the gallery. Obviously, there's a lot of houses and galleries with like triangle roofs and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into that. So as we remember, this last one was 4.5 inches tall. So I'm going to do 4.5 inches again, 4.5 inches again, here. And now again, I have 2 reference points. Now I can make a straight line and connect the 2. Oop! Hold the phone. Okay. So if you saw my example, you saw that the other room was quite a bit smaller. So instead of going to use the whole 12 inches here, I'm going to just use 10 inches. So I'm going to mark the 10 here and mark the 10 on my straight line up here. And I'm going to make a line connecting those 2. And this is going to be cut away as well as this is going to be cut away. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to mark, I want my rooms to be equal length. Because it's a square, so this is 10 inches, so half of 10 is 5. So I'm going to mark the 5 here and mark the 5 here. And these is going to be a dotted line because this is where I'm going to fold the paper. And you don't have to use marker. I would honestly recommend using you don't have to use Sharpie. I would recommend using, what am I trying to say? Pencils, so you could erase the lines, but I'm using Sharpie so you can see it. And then I want to make my gallery 1 inch by 2, or my door 1 inch by 2 inches, so I'm going to mark off the 2 and mark off the 3. Yeah. And then I'm going to go up here, because again I need a straight line for reference, and mark the 2 and mark the 3. And I want my door 2 inches tall, so I'm going to go, oh, thank you. Zoom in. I'm going to go 2 inches, so I'm going to do the 3 and the 5 here, and the 3 and the 5 here, using those lines as reference, and then connect the 2. And so since this gallery, this room connects to the other one, they will both need a door. So for the square room, if you're doing it the way that I'm doing, again, you can do it a slightly different way. This is just the example that I'm doing, which I would recommend following if you're having struggles, which is fine. This is like one type of intelligence, and there are many types of intelligences, so if you struggle with this, I'm sure you have other things that you excel at, but we'll get through this together. So now I have these 2 walls. These are the ones that I did before. I'm going to cut out the doors real quick and just come in here and following that line, so that's why it's really nice that I have a straight line. So these will all be the same, and cutting here. I'm doing this a little fast. You might want to spend a little more time, but I'm just showing you real quick how to do this. And cutting here. And then I'm going to cut out my door, just one door for this room. One door here. All right, now we are ready to assemble. So to assemble these, because, okay, first I'm going to fold them. So I'm going to fold them along the dotted line. Also, at this point, before you construct the gallery, it might be helpful to hang your artwork. Again, that's just going to be gluing the pieces of paper with the tiny drawings onto these walls. and filling out the inside of the gallery. So you can do that maybe by using colored pencil. I've seen people do stripes. I've seen people put in pastel and blend it out so it kind of looks like a wall. So you have many options for how to cover your gallery walls, but they need to have some sort of color on them. So now, if I were to go like this, I can't glue this together. This is not helpful. I can't glue this together. This is not going to work. So I need to make tabs so that they can stick to them. So I'm going to go over here and just fold a little tab here. So now I have this little tab here, and this is what's going to now glue to that. So now I can glue that, and I'm going to go on the other piece of paper and fold a tab on the opposite wall. And if you get stuck on this point, just look at the gallery for a minute, and it'll help you kind of figure out where the tabs need to go. So now I have these tabs, and I can glue it together and make a wall and make a tiny room. So I'm just going to take my glue stick and apply glue generously here, and apply glue generously on the other tab, and stick them together. And I'm doing this fast, but I would recommend holding it for a minute while it dries, so it's really stuck together. And you see how I use tabs on each room? If you put both tabs on the same room, on the same wall, it'll work, but you might have slightly uneven gallery walls. Since I took a little bit away from this one and I took a little bit away from this one, it still maintains that square shape. So now I have a tiny room. And I'm going to make my other tiny room the same way. So I have these two pieces, I'm folding them on the dotted line here. And if there's a certain point, say you're getting to a certain point and you're really stuck, you can come and raise your hand or yell miss or whatever, Miss Y if you're feeling personal, and I will come over and help you. So I'm at the same stage again where these will not connect, so I need to put in my tabs on opposite walls. So I'm going to put my tab over here, and I'm going to put my tab over here. So I'm going to put my little tab in here. I'm going to put my tab in here. And again, doing the same process, applying the glue here and applying the glue here and sticking them together like so. I hope you're paying attention if you have been lost. And applying this glue, again, holding it together, coming over here and sticking the tabs on again. Bada bing, bada boom. Now I have another room. And I want to connect these two together. So what I'm going to do is just apply glue to the smallest side. And I'm applying here where the doors connect. Because again, if we're going to imagine a tiny person is walking through this, and this is a model of a gallery, we would need a tiny door for people to walk through. So I'm lining up the doors, and then I'm just going to press these two walls together here. Pressing them, bada bing, bada boom. A two-room gallery. The person walk in here, oh, look at all this nice little art. Walk in here. And again, these need to be colored with something, and your art pieces should hang here, and here, and here, and here. And now you have the proper measurements too to kind of map out how big your pieces can be. But again, we're thinking if our gallery is 4.5 inches tall, that our gallery pieces should not probably be larger than 4 inches tall and not larger than the length of the rooms. This is a lot of room to work with here. You could probably put 2 or 3 art pieces on this wall. And now we can see that it lays flat. So theoretically, if you wanted to send this to somebody, you could put it in a little folder And we're going to be writing here, if we're following the example, our letter or dedication. Hold on. Actually, why would it, okay. Hold the phone. Okay. And yeah, I guess I didn't really need to restart that. That's the whole business. Hopefully this recorded and I can post it online so you have this as reference. But this is the basic construction of the gallery. Is there any questions that you have that could be, maybe other people have the same questions? Okay. And